Crikey laddies, good day Bruce, good day Sheila, welcome back to Cone Racing League. You join us here for round 11 as we go down under to the land of the chimps, the crocodiles and the kangaroos. I am of course your host CRL Freefall and I am joined by the ever Irish Liam. Liam, good day Brucey.
Good day Sheila.
Oh, that's a little callback to an old game that my family used to play at some parties. If you know, you know. But we are back for round 11 then. Myself, CRL Freefall, joined by the ever wonderful Liam Carrick. How are you tonight, mate?
Well, I'm not too bad. Hanging in there yourself, lad.
Just about getting there. We just about got this stream up in time. It nearly went all, I won't say the word, but something up. But we're here, we're ready, we're back.
Yep, and tonight we take the streets of Australia. I've completely lost my words tonight. Okay, we're taking it around Australia, revamped actually, different layout. So there's no more. I believe it was turn 8 and 9, isn't it?
So close, turn 9 and 10.
Damn it!
so close, mate.
I've completely lost my words, mate. Absolutely gone. So, sure, well, like I said, I'm hanging in there. Anyways, track is widened, there's lots more overtaking opportunities, a lot more high speed this track. So it should be very interesting to see where the drivers make their passes or size up some drivers, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, you said that 9 and 10 getting removed. I mean, the 8 into 9 is essentially that right-hander where you can see the Red Bull just about coming up to it. It's got that on the mini-map. Then your next turn is essentially the fast left-right chicane. So it's one of the unique tracks in the sense that it's got a back straight that is also an S. It's definitely unique in the calendar. There's one of the corners we're on board with Ferguson that's been extended the inside of turn 3 just a little bit more. He has invalidated this lap, so we'll jump him somebody else. How about Marshall? Get a little tour of the circuit with him.
Yeah, Marshall, excellent debut last week actually in France. He was keeping up with the midfield, so he should be a little bit more competitive today if the form does continue. Obviously, joined because of his friend Curly. Yep,
Curly and Marshall, two friends. In fact, I've had the pleasure of commentating them over quite a few times in the last few weeks. Definitely a driver that's got the mustard to sort of compete in this division. Definitely, I'm just looking. Where was he last week? A P5 on his debut. Very solid result. Only losing out to MUFC Harvey and Leo, and of course that competed in Div 3, MKP, who's top of the standards, and SUFC, who we've seen is a very rapid driver. So, you know, to lose out to 4 drivers and it being them 4 is a solid way to start your CRL career. He's down in Tier 4, he's got plenty to prove, and he's about to prove what he can do on his initial lap here. Rounding this final corner, crucial corner, easy to spin out, easy to lose it under traction or just lose buckets and buckets of time. He jumps like a kangaroo to P1 with a 1:19.352. I had to get it in there, Liam.
It has begun, the shenanigans. No comment for now. Grego slots in behind, 5 tenths behind Iron Marshall, 19.833. So definitely time in that. And Topher again coming across the line with a 21.3. Obviously these are all bankers, they're not representative of their actual pace just yet.
Just having a look as well, we're missing MUFC Harvey and Leon. Or 1-2 last week. Maybe this is a prime opportunity for some drivers to grab some nice tasty points here.
Yeah, MUFC Harvey absolutely dominating the last 2 races as well. Taking them by almost 20 seconds in Miami and in France by almost 15 seconds, which was cut down due to penalties. So 9 seconds was the gap to P2 in France. Anyways, we take on a new circuit tonight. None of the top 2 are up here. So yeah, gonna be very interesting.
Absolutely, the battle as well to look out for this man. We're on board with MKP, currently top of the standings, 204 points. A 31 point gap to Ferguson, another driver who's been very consistent this season. MKP pulling into the pits, not happy with this lap.
Ooh, Mighty Atom. He's lost a wheel. If you want to spectate him, he's completely lost a wheel.
That was a really, really strange delay in the game retiring. That Red Bull getting very fortunate and getting the ghosting through him. We've seen that plenty of times this game where that just doesn't happen. Tricky corner though, the exit at turn 5. Of course, you've got the inside curb on the right hand side, the exit curb on the left. Easy to lose it, and I shouldn't say this, but I don't think it'll be the last car we see have at least a spin there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to lose traction in a high-speed right-hander, especially at an angle like turn 5, like you said.
Absolutely. We'll maybe see a few errors there tonight, but also those errors can creep in and allow overtaking opportunities into the right-hander of turn 6. Again, another corner that's been widened. We're about to see another corner that's been reprofiled, of course, on board with Spider Rob here in the final sector. A little bit deeper into this corner now, a little bit more of a runoff area, and a completely different angle. Means you have to change up how you approach it compared to previous years. Spider Rob, definitely one that's been improving since I first seen him in Cone Racing League. Is just every season gets faster and faster and faster, and he's going to give us his first showing what kind of pace he has around Australia. P2, a 1:19.595, only 2 tenths off Marshall at the top, but of course, first lap is banker lap. Plenty of time still to come from a lot of these drivers here, Liam.
Definitely. I mean, we're only like 5 minutes into the session. Obviously, Iron Marshall, the outlier here, clearing the field by just over 2 tenths now. Now that Spider Rob has completed his banker lap. Another driver to watch out, actually, Mark Wilson. He's been doing really well these past few weeks, racking up consistent points and podiums. Of course, you've had your moments to commentate over him and battle him, so Scott, could be one to watch out tonight. Dark horse, maybe?
Well, I'd say it's more, not quite a dark horse, more of a known competitor. We've seen him, of course, not Australia, that's where we are tonight. Canada, I believe it was. He had an almighty battle with Ferguson, the two of them going nose to tail, side by side through many a corner, and really showing both of them have the composure and the ability to battle well in this division. Mark just having a little bit of misfortune, I'd say you should say. I think he was very similar in Singapore. Sort of, a sprinkle of luck in there. He could definitely be in the mix with Ferguson and MKP at this stage, right prime in this title fight. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head where he is in the standings. He is P9 with only 76 points, which when you think he's been competing for multiple podiums, really just shows the little bit of unluckiness he's had, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Been very unlucky. But he's been improving over the season, and maybe he can nab a podium or a win by the end of the season. Of course, it'll be very difficult with the likes of his teammate. And there's another gone car. That's of Craigo.
Told you it wouldn't be the last. Corner 5 racks up its second victim tonight. Mark Wilson, luckily, not getting impeded too badly by that by the looks of things. We're on board with him. And yeah, definitely, I look at the likes of Mark Wilson. On for a win, absolutely. Wuban, I wouldn't rule him out of getting a win. Craigo, of course, has had one. Murphy, Spider Rob, up there, maybe potential wins, definite podium contenders. And to be fair, looking at the majority of this grid, you've got guys down there that maybe aren't the quickest at the moment. Maybe you look at the overall thing of the grid, like Curly and Hedgehog. Curly, I know, is a very experienced driver, so again, it just takes that one race where everything aligns for him, and though you're maybe not at the top of the pack, it can run through to you. And we can't, of course, say about experienced drivers a little bit further down the pack than, Hedgehog 11, former Tier 4 champion. Mark Wilson, though, showing just what I was saying, he's got pace to compete for podiums. A 1:19.489 in his first run. Probably time to improve. He might have got, just a subconscious lift with Craigo there, so fire a couple of tenths in for that. He's in for this pole position here.
Definitely, and again, Iron Marshall just showing I know I've already waffled on about him a lot of times this session, but again, the outlier here, the one to beat, I think, for tonight. Especially with a banker lap like that, you just don't pull it out in Tier 4.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Oh,
well, there we go. Speak of the devil, MKP a 1:19.281. It's, I was just about to say there, it is either a sort of love-hate track for a lot of people. I think it's a little bit easier than it was before. Removal of that chicane, turns 9 and 10, just makes that lap a little bit more, not simpler, but it's a little bit more easier to hook up. So
oh, sorry.
I was just no, just so I think it's maybe at the same time there's tricky zones. You know, turn 5 we've seen catch out to the fast left right chicane we've seen catch out people in the past. The final turn does crucial points where you can just absolutely destroy your race or your lap, but there's other points where you can just get into the zone and sync up really nicely. So yeah, hit and miss I suppose.
Yeah. I'm actually very curious how last generation of cars would cope in this type of situation. Obviously, the tires last game lasted a lot longer, and definitely was easier to heat up. But again, you have that sense of overheating and the sense of a lot of downforce. Really, would it be slower than this generation of cars?
It's a tricky one. Yeah. I think the overall lap time would be a little bit slower. But I think you mentioned a lot about the tyres there. The race would be a lot more spicier. Could you imagine the battle between the hard medium run and maybe the soft medium 2 stop? There'd be that little extra variation in there that would make the race that extra bit spicy. And then, of course, it's Australia. It's partial to rain. It's partial to safety cars. It's partial to controversy. Of course, we've seen podiums and I believe even a race win stripped around about this country before. Murphy! Oh, I was on board with that. Where is the old man pulled that from? I told you. He is one to watch. My man from the northeast, CRL Murphy. What a lap by him.
It just came out of nowhere. Just absolutely just nailing the last sector even. Just very good lap from him. He clears the field by almost 2.5 tenths, which is incredible. But obviously these drivers are still yet to set their final laps, so anyone could still be on pole. But it'll be very hard to beat Murphy.
It's going to be tricky, but I think given the quality we've got in these cars and these drivers, could we see somebody sneak into the 18s? Murphy's going to feel really hard done by if they do, but what a lap by him. It was one of the, I suppose you'd see it in the old age Top Gear, where it looks slow, but sometimes looking slow and being fast are one and the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe if you ride on board with the cars, and especially in real life, they look very slow, but in reality, they're very, I don't know, fast, and we don't have that sense of speed captured by the camera, and obviously in this case we have it the same with Murphy.
Absolutely. A few cars coming out to do what I suspect might be their final run. Spider Rob is out there, not quite on a hot lap at the moment, judging by that 100% ERS, and red flashing light. Mark Wilson on an outlap, as is AFL and Maverick. AFL, again, another one we can never rule out. He was in a title fight, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, for this division alongside Hedgehog 11. A very quick driver. He got on the podium, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, last week. So, one that's definitely in contention in the mix. And P10 for him, maybe not where he wanted to be, but he's got race pace as well. I've got to say, I think this is maybe one of the, maybe not the closest competitive grids I've ever seen, but one of the best Tier 4 grids in the sense that there's a lot of pace, there's a lot of promise, and there's some people that are delivering on that pace and promise, and some people growing into it, and some people slowly starting to show that they have it as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the proving grounds for CRL. What can you make it into the higher tiers? Like, this is the perfect driver. This is a perfect place for anyone getting into the F1 game to really prove their mettle. A good community, a good grid on semi-fast drivers.
Just curious, J Wells 40. There's a name we haven't seen in a while. I know he was reserving in Tier 3 from the little what's the little birdie in my ear? He had floor damage and just a horrible sort of either spin or collision. So whether maybe a little bit overzealous with tier 3, time to drop down. Maybe is he reserving in tier 4 tonight? We'll wait and see. Maverick, apparently purple sector 2, he's only a quarter of a second up in his time, however, so maybe the game playing some shenanigans unless he's having an absolutely beastly third sector to come here, or maybe just a slow third sector on his final lap. I'm quite interested to see what the J. Will situation is. He is coming out to do a lap, which suggests to me he's got the green go-ahead from the head admins, Mr. Booth, and Mr. Collier. I nearly said Mr. Booth and Mr. Collier. I missed out one of the one of the brothers.
The Booth brothers.
Definitely. I mean, you've got you've got some sort of the sort of royalty of tier 4. You've got Hedgehog 11, a previous champion. You've got AFL, who came runner up to him, and then you've got Mr. J. Wills, who came runner up season 4, a season where I was robbed of the title, shall we say. I got promoted.
Oh, no love lost. That's for sure.
I can tell you an interesting record about that. I only raced three races in that season in tier 4, and I had the second most amount of pole positions behind the man J. Wills, who got, I think, 12 or 11 of the 12 other ones. It was a sort of, we had so much one lap pace compared to everybody else, and then there was the race pace for some was maybe just not up there.
Well,
but I'm done gloating.
That's definitely a different era, Scott. So maybe we're living 2 worlds apart now. Time to walk back into current gen. Let's let's bring it back and let's bring it forward a couple of years.
Just a year and a half now. I'm not that old. Come on.
Here, that's like ages ago in like F1 game cycles.
2 games ago, 2019, back in the good old days, but a
2020
lot of faces still
was
from
2
there.
years ago.
2 years? Oh yeah, so it was.
Feeling old? Definitely.
Oh no, don't do this to me. But back then, there was still a lot of familiar names from back then. You're talking about the proving ground. The amount of drivers that have came up through the tiers. I mean, I can name 2 legends off the top of my head. Mr. 4-star, of course, regular in tier 2. He's been up there, round about the podiums week on, week out. And of course, the one and only Mr. Philip McConey, an absolute legend within the CRL sort of history and community. The man's an absolute... he's an absolute delight, and in one sense, an absolute nutter. I love the guy. He's such a chill guy that, again, started off down here, worked his way up to tier 3, and then suddenly this game, he's went from maybe, top end mid-pack to tier 3. He's battling out for wins in tier 2. So, plenty of development can come from this division. Of course, I'm not going to speak about myself, but it is potential there. But checker flag is down, Liam, while I was waffling. Topher up to P11 to finish his qualifying session. I believe Mighty Baguette is the next to cross the line. He has invalidated, so he won't improve. It's one of the Hasses. Is it Marshall? No, it's Ghost Angel 1, another face all the way back from Season 4. I can tell you an interesting story between Ghost Angel 1 and Hedgehog, if you want, maybe at some point later this evening when we get a little down period.
Definitely.
Bit of mistaken identity and Google Translate coming in clutch. Ghost Angel 1 crosses the line, cannot improve on P14. Wiban also crosses, cannot improve on P2. He does improve up to 19184, but MKP immediately shuts the door and claims that P2 away from him. Spider Rob is not next, it's his teammate AFL. He stays P13. Spider Rob will be next. The McLaren of Mark Wilson pulling out of his lap, getting kindly out of the way of the Williams of Murphy and the Ferrari of Spider Rob. Spider Rob rushing up to the line then, really lowly depleted on that ERS and fuel, cannot improve on his time. Murphy into the pits. I think it just leaves Marshall, who's on a slow one, and that is our grid, Liam.
Yeah, very interesting. No one cracking the 18s, or cracking into the 18s. I've seen Cyril Murphy bottle his second to last lap. Same with Ira Marshall and Mark Wilson. He's also lost a wing, so yeah, this grid definitely has the potential to crack into the 18s, but just weren't able to show it here today. But obviously, this is just qualifying. It doesn't really matter right now where you start.
Exactly. No points are earned on a Saturday. Is that not what they say? It's easy to put it down in one lap, but now we've got, I believe, is it? I don't actually know how long. Is it 29? I couldn't tell you. Thank you for
I believe so.
But we do have the grid results here then, and it is it's a tier that's always been dominated by the four home countries. I must admit, Murphy taking top of spot in the Williams, 600ths ahead of NKP, your championship leader, and 1.4 seconds ahead of Wuban in the Red Bull. Let me take a little jump back a couple of times. Marshall is second ever out in NP4. Mark Wilson, Spider-Rob, Mighty Baguette, Craigo, Curley and Ferguson, your top 10, with Topher, the Maverick, AFL, Ghost Angel 1, Hedgehog 11, J Wills putting in times. The Mighty Atom, unfortunately having a spin and crash before he could put a lap in, but he has the pleasure of starting at the back and maybe avoiding any carnage into turn 1 and turn 2.
Definitely, and everything's up into turn 1. There's no guarantee for who's keeping the lead, who's going to slot in behind. I think we've had the iconic moment where somebody forgot to use their brakes. I can't remember which driver.
I can tell you exactly who it is, anyone that I am stupid word. It is our pole sitter tonight, CRL Murphy. First race of last season in Tier 3, starting about the mid-pack. He decided the brilliant idea, why use your brake pedal when you can use your clutch? And ultimately killed about 4 drivers into turn 1. Not his proudest moment.
Maybe we might see some, I think, Montoya and Schumacher moments once again. So, and I hope the grid understands what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, then go watch that Australian GP race.
We'll wait
young
and see. The
young and me really bringing out the F1 history tonight.
You're just, I used to commentate Tier 1 with Jamie Morris, and he was ideal for these little facts and that, and you've just took over the role superbly, Liam. You are like the CRL secondary encyclopedia. I won't give you the prime role because nobody can take over that role from my good friend Jamie Indigo, but a man of many facts and many little bits of trivia from throughout the years of F1.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Mark Webber's debut race for Minardi back in 2001, I believe. Yes, they brought him up to the podium, home hero, of course. But Minardi were fined, I think, around 50,000 Australian dollars just for bringing him up on the podium, because it wasn't part of the regulations to bring him up. He obviously finished P5, so he wasn't really allowed on the podium. But we have our grid doing our formation lap.
That we do. I remember that actually. That's such a weird thing to hear, a Minardi in P5 as well. Really, really strange result in the sort of, especially when you look at the later years. But we do have our grid. We do have our starting tyres. So I think we'll make it easy tonight for describing it. The whole grid starting on the mediums, except for MKP in P2 on the hards, Mighty Baguette in P7 also on the hards, as is AFL and Ghost Angel 1 P13 and 14 respectively. The odd one out though, the cat amongst the pigeons, the Maverick 33 P12 on the softs.
Yeah, now this is going to be one to watch. I'm not entirely sure how softs are in Australia, but judging from other tracks, softs won't last maybe 11 laps. They'll last most until they decide to pop open. So Maverick, maybe he's looking for a quick start and jumping onto the hards as soon as, and maybe hoping for a safety car to put him on the mediums for the end. Maybe.
I'm trying to think now. I did a couple of races around here fairly recently, as we see MKP go really deep into turn 12. I believe the softs can just about make it to double figures. However, it's a big just about. You're sort of well off the cliff by that point. like most tracks, you get about 6 to 7 decent laps out of them, and then they just become unworkable, undrivable almost. So yeah, it'll be interesting. See it in early safety car, of course. Probably within the first 6 laps is ideal for him. There's also that thing of too early can disrupt it, and I think we're going to have an absolute didgeridoo old time down into turn 1 here. Murphy has disqualified himself from his starting box, meaning he will be starting fairly close to the front of MKP in P2. Maybe see a run down for the lead into turn 1 then, Liam.
Yeah, if you want to take out lights out, I'll just look for any action at the back.
Sounds like a plan, my friend. Sounds like a plan. The grid is now reformed then on the grid, the streets of Melbourne, Australia. We are here for round 11 of season number 7 in CRL Tier 4. We have 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. We're on board then with MKP in the AlphaTauri. Maybe not getting the best of start, but somebody that has had a horrendous start is Murphy. J Wills at the back has spun on the line and is in the wall out of this race already. And that is a VSC already.
MKP getting a brilliant start. Mark Wilson even a better start, and Wuban making up a position as well. Cyril Murphy though absolutely bogging down off the start. I've just seen a little bit of a tank slapper just revving up the engine. So
yeah, it seemed to get a really nice initial launch, but just sort of like you say, get a tank slapper, maybe just not getting up the gears quite quick enough and putting the foot down just slightly too early. Did well to catch it, but he lost out 3 positions on that. Mark Wilson, I can't even remember where he started, but he's up a few. He is up 3. Ferguson up 4. Craigo up 3. Maverick and Ghost Angel 1 both up 3. So quite a big sort of shifting and shaking through that first initial start. But we are back to green flag racing, and we are 1 car down in the form of J Wills. Penalties there coming up though, Carrick.
Yeah, very interesting. Where did the penalties come from? Did they cut the corner, make contact? Did they speed?
I wonder if it's been the VSC coming out sort of mid-corner, mid-turn 1, and been a little bit of minor contact that, you know, people maybe slowing down for the VSC made contact. Speaking of slowing down, MKP is left a chance, getting a bit slow down at the final, the start finish straight, and Mark Wilson up 4 into the lead already on the beginning of lap 2. What a start he's had. Murphy has had a horrendous start, having a dog bogged down, it helps if you say the right words, on the start finish line off the grid, and had a spin there through turn 2, down in 15th already, our pole sitter.
Yeah, I mean, not the greatest of starts, but maybe a safety car may come out and bring him back into the race. But 3 lead changes in 2 laps. Very exciting stuff here. And MKP closing up the gaps ever so slightly down the straight. It'll be whoever has the lowest wings out of the few drivers here. That will be the deciding factor, methinks, throughout Sector 2 especially.
Oh, definitely. That long, sort of sweeping bends, sweeping sort of almost a straight, if a straight had a bend in it. I think is maybe an appropriate way to describe it. But we've had all these overtakes for the lead, and we still don't even have DRS, so once that starts to bring in and sort of maybe give the guys with slightly lower wings a chance to fight back or hold off, we could see some extra moves. The front 2, though, checked out 2.1 seconds on the guys behind. Wuban, though, looking to try and catch down at that lap, of course. Fastest lap's going to come in slowly but surely. DRS now enabled. First DRS zone here, of course, we won't have it yet because it is a double DRS activation in Australia. Really powerful. Getting it before that penultimate corner gives you the DRS on the start finish straight and the exit of turn 2. So first DRS action then, Liam, out of the fast left right chicane.
Yep, and it'll be a matter of who will keep it on the track and who will have the better traction out of the 2 drivers, or the few drivers that's battling for position. And there's already a yellow flag. Turn 5 claims its first victim of the race. Hedgehog beached his car, I think. Oh, and it's claimed a second victim
Oh,
too, the Mightenham.
I just
So,
switched across in time to catch that, and I seen a car mid in the wall. Um, it's got its first and second victim of the race there in a matter of seconds.
yep, and it won't be the last, I'll tell you that for certain. Turn 5, the mother of all mess-ups, I guess.
It's
If,
it's one of them. If you don't have the setup quite tuned in, and you don't have the confidence and the consistency to take the proper same line every single lap, it'll really, really come back to bite you.
yeah, and like I said, turn 5, like we just saw, sorry. Turn 5 definitely doing his thing now, but Craigo and Ruban absolutely battling out for P3, and Craigo comes out the better one, but depends how he takes turn 5. Will they take turn 5 correctly? Yes, they will. The driver's just grazing the curb, so scared to get it on top of the curb and taking it full force, but obviously that's a given. You don't want to ruin your race so early.
Oh, definitely. That's especially at this stage as well. You got to remember these cars are heavy laden with fuel. The tires are, although they're fresh in life, yes, the cars are just so much heavier and so much more sort of uncontrollable. There's just the balance of the weight shift through corners is that much greater than it will be in qualifying and time trial, and of course at the end of the race. So a few drivers making a left. Spider Rob gets the move done on Marshall, runs deep though, and has to cede the position. Maverick then sneaks on through, capitalising on that mistake. Spider Rob just a little bit late on the brakes, almost made a brilliant move. Lark back at the front though, MKP still chasing down Mark Wilson slowly by bit, but Mark Wilson either, I haven't even got the full telemetry up, there we go, he is using a little bit more of the ERS compared to MKP, but still holding out in front, so it's not as if he's completely burning. We have a retirement, that is again
Hedgehog.
turn 5, Hedgehog, and it's a full safety car this time.
Oh, lads and ladies, it's definitely happened again. And I think Mighty Awesome might have been caught out there. No, I'm wrong. And Curly already picking up a 5-second time penalty with Ghost Danger 1, so might have been a little bit of contact. We'll have to serve it in the pits, because they still haven't served their pit stops just yet. But this is a prime opportunity for anyone on the mediums to get on the hards, and probably finish the race with them, since the hards just last so long on this track.
Yeah, hard should be. It's not going to be easy, obviously. You're going to take them by the time we're probably going to get racing about lap 28, so you're still going about 21 laps on the hards. Generally, you probably want to take them about 16, 17, so it is a little bit of a stretch, but it is that old factor of taking the tyres 4 laps later and maybe being a little more cautious on them earlier on to save them. Is it worth the 30 odd seconds you're going to lose in the pits? I would probably say so. Murphy into the pits might be a mistake from the Williams here. He needs to get out ahead of the McLaren. I think he's just about going to manage that. I've seen that happen many a times in this tier. People maybe just about a lap down, pitting, thinking it's a safety car, get a free pit stop, and not realising that the pack's still about to come through, but he's just about saved himself from being lapped. Maverick started on those softs. This couldn't have really came at a better time for him. He's in the hards, likely to the end. Topher also opting for that from the mediums. The rest of the pack, though, opting to stay out.
Yeah, and it will be very interesting to see where they, well, will they sell just a tad bit longer because of their tires percentage saved come pit stops. It'll be one to look out for. But we've come to a dull part of this race. Scott, it's story time.
It's story time. Yes, so Hedgehog 11, the man that caused the safety car. This is, maybe a little history for those that are maybe newer to the league and newer to some of the personalities. Now, Hedgehog, a lot of you may know, you might tune in fact, on a Thursday night where the absolute legend commentates over Tier 2. What a man he was. But he joined us in Season 4, alongside the likes of myself, J Wells, and Ghost Danger 1. And it was Tier 4. I got paired up in the Alfa Romeo with CRL Murphy. Ghost Danger 1 gets paired up in the Renault with Hedgehog 11. Now, Ghost Danger 1 is German. Very nice fella. I've spoken to him on a few occasions, but he mostly communicates in German, which is fair enough. Now, Hedgehog knew this, but for some reason in his mind, you know, wanted to say, not some reason, like, he wanted to say hello and introduce himself and say, like, you know, we'll try our best, and, you know, hope you enjoy the races, and I'm, you know, glad to be your teammate type thing. But for some reason, when he went on Google Translate and typed out his message, instead of typing it out and translating it to German to send to the German driver to communicate in German so that he can understand, he sent him a long, long message in French. And Ghost Angel 1, understandably getting a random message of somebody in French, decided not to answer, and I don't blame him.
Lost in translation.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's still, like, I remember the first time I heard that, and I definitely kind of started, almost cried with tears. Cried with laughter. It was so daft. Just really shows the sort of character that man has, that is unfortunately retired, cost this safety car, but for many he will have brought a little bit of a lifeline to them. I see a little bit of jockeying for position there between Ghost Danger 1 and Topher. Ghost and Atom both on the softs. Now, they're probably going to go to the early to mid-teens potentially. Mighty Atom, of course, done a couple of laps on them, but most of them under safety cars, so potentially, if they've got the tyres to spare, a medium to the end for them, maybe a hard to the end if another safety car comes out. But we've got a nice spread of strategies now.
Yeah. Ghost Angel 1, Mighty Atom, like you said, taking the soft, so they're still bound to take the maybe mediums to the end. They're used mediums, I'm not entirely sure. MKP, still the outlier here. The only one of the top 7 to be on the hards. And to be honest, he's been doing well to keep up with Mark Wilson, who is on the softer compound of the mediums, so very interesting to see. But will we get a late safety car call-in?
Well, it's potential, of course. Murphy just catching up to the back of the grid now. It might just be in time for a safety car in this lap to appear around about now.
Oh, no!
And here it is. Mark Wilson then going to become the de facto leader. That's caused a little bit of chaos with some of the drivers just not quite ready for it or expecting it. He's got to, of course, slow down the pack, get a gap for the safety car to come in. It's just about doing that now, and he seems to have bolted early, taking a sort of advantage of those behind him not being ready. But somebody that is ready looks to be Craigo. He is closing, but not quite close enough on the Alpha Tauri of MKP, and it seems to be that we've gotten away pretty incident free. Ghost Danger 1 losing out to Curly momentarily, almost tries to go for the move around the outside. The space isn't quite on. Curly, by the way, just been informed, as he seems to have took a dunt into the wall, is part of CRL's second brotherly connection. There's brothers on this grid tonight. I've just been made aware of it. Him and Marshall are brothers, in fact.
Oh!
It's a family affair here in CRL. Of course, the head admins, a pair of brothers.
Oh,
and Murphy, no! Murphy, you put it on pole. You had this was the race. This was the promise. You binned it twice. We'll have serious discussions with him.
The Messiah was not really the Messiah. He was the devil.
He is the devil's in sheep clothing, indeed. Wooman, though, getting a little bit loose on the exit of turn 10. Of course, the fast left-right chicane opened up himself to an attack from Ferguson behind. Ferguson really crawling all over that Red Bull's gearbox. Might have a chance down into turn 1 if it's all about the exit to this final corner. Tricky corner, of course. Man. Don't get the throttle down too early.
Dancing with the car, it seems like, trying to scramble for any sort of traction. And like you saw there with Ferguson, so close, but that slight bit of oversteer coming out the corner, absolutely killing his chances for a move. But Ghost Angel, no, Iron Marshall losing it in turn 1, that's gone. He's gone. Down to P13, sorry. I was going to say he's out of the race, but he's clearly still in the race. His engine's still running, tyre's still intact. So, yeah, that's unfortunate for Iron Marshall there. Definitely not what you want to be in, I guess, after a safety car restart.
Turn 2, snapping away his chances at a good result at this stage of the Grand Prix, at least. Faster than a crocodile snapping a fresh bit of meat out your hands. Still, he's got a chance to climb up the tree that is this grid like a koala hunting for some eucalyptus leaves. I could go all night, Carrig. I could keep them coming. They're terrible, but I could keep them coming.
Mate, they're like 40-year-old dad jokes. Can somebody in the comments at least sympathise for me having to shut up with this?
Oh.
But Ferguson now making the move on Wuban.
What a move that was for sitting here making jokes and laughs. What a battle these two are having. Luckily I've been on board with the whole lot. With that now coming back with the assist of some ERS, DRS now enabled. We'll see that at the end of this lap. Little bit of contact there between the two. No damage for the pair of them, but it's inviting in Spider Rob. Just maybe Ferguson getting a little bit off the rhythm there with that contact, but keeps the inside line. Spider Rob looking for the cutback, going to turn to the outside now for turn 4, but the move not quite on. Yellow flag somewhere though. That looks to be an Alpine having a spin.
Ooh, yep, it's the Maverick. So after all that, all his hard work undone, is there any wing damage? I can't see just yet. And by the looks of things, no, both end plates are still intact. So Maverick, not all is lost, but he can fight back. And turn 6, I believe, claimed his victim in the form of the mighty Atom.
2 victims at turn 2. I think we'll run about 4 for turn 5 and now 1 for turn 6. It's get your bingo cards out, folks, because I think there might be one at every corner. It's just one of those circuits where you can spin anywhere if you go a little bit wide, a little bit deep, a little bit too aggressive, a little bit not aggressive enough. It is it's a nice track, but it's an unforgiving track here. We're 10 laps, about to be lap 11 into this Grand Prix. Mark Wilson had pulled out a gap to MKP, must have made a mistake there because he's got Craigo and MKP all over the rear of that McLaren now. He was about a second clear, so maybe a little half spin or a deep run into one of the corners, but these three, 3.4 seconds clear of P4. They're checking out from this grid.
They really are. And MKP just getting a bit of oversteer coming out of turn, I want to say 3.
Turn 3, you are correct.
Yes, turn 3 and losing a little bit of time to Craigo and Mark Wilson. Not out of the DRS yet though, but will his wings be enough to crawl him back into DRS? And it looks like it will. MKP absolutely, I think he's just losing a little bit of time to Craigo, but maybe due to Craigo using a lot more ERS than MKP, Craigo almost down to no battery compared to the likes of Mark Wilson and MKP.
Yeah, MKP up 65%, Mark Wilson in the 30s, and Craigo, like you say, on nothing. Of course, 10 laps in, Craigo and Mark Wilson on the medium compound tyres. Now, MKP's on the hards. You've got to think, are these hards starting to slowly become the better tyre? He's might going to have a little bit more grip. But the big thing that goes against him is the 5-second penalties. Mark Wilson is now into the pits to make his stop, which I assume will be onto the hard compound tyres.
Yep, it will have to be. But now Craigo trying to pull away from MKP. MKP getting the double DRS detection, so all his work will be in vain. And will MKP get past Craigo by the end of this lap? Will it be hard to tell? Or maybe Craigo will pit this lap. Who knows?
I'd be surprised if we see Craigo not pit. He's got to try and maybe cover off the undercut. Of course, the only danger now for Mark Wilson, he is down in P13 in what is quite a tight grid, of course, because of that safety car. There's not a lot of clear air here, so it could be worth going for the overcut. MKP could work out nicely for him, of course, going for the overcut on the hards. By the time he has to pit, the grid's going to be a little bit more spread out, and you lose that, you don't lose the same amount of time in traffic. I suppose the only benefit is Mark Wilson, as he does come through the field, is going to have plenty of DRS to use.
Yeah, but it'll be all about just dispatching the rest of the grid fast and quick. You don't want to lose too much time to the car in front of you, especially one on a worn and arguably slower pace. So yeah, definitely will be one to watch for Mark Wilson. MKP though sizing up Craigo ever so slightly. Craigo staying out, so MKP could be in for a chance to retake the lead again. DRS burning, DRS burning. Oh my god, I completely messed it up.
DRS wide open, ERS not being used. Craigo though burning through that ERS. You can see that black Red, blank. Oh, you've done it to me! That blinking red light on the rear of the Alpine, showing he is low on the old electronic battery deployment, also known as D-rating, comes into play. Is it 10% or is it? Yeah, it's less than 10%. Whenever a car is less than 10% battery, that red light will flash, the same as it does in our conditions. Mark Wilson, just having a little look at him. He's currently stuck behind Maverick and Curly. It can be a tricky track to overtake around here as well, Carrick, unless you've got the DRS and the lower wings. I've noticed a few times with the battles, like we've got here with MKP, some cars getting a nicer run down that back straight and then having to sacrifice it through the chicane. What a move, though, by your championship leader. Squeezes Craig onto the grass almost. It is elbows out here, and MKP keeps the lead after making a definitely mighty move down into turn 9. I seen a yellow flag there, and a McLaren. Is that Mark Wilson?
It is Mark Wilson. He's lost an end plate. Mark Wilson's lost an end plate. He's balled it. He's balled it.
Not for the first time this season. He's had a poor bit of luck when running. Well, Wuban looks to have had a spin as well. MKP and Craigo still battling out. We've got multiple runners into the pit. Craigo, 13 laps on these mediums. You're generally looking about going roundabout now is about your probably average pit stop, round about 12 to 14. It depends, of course, how much of an undercut you're wanting. Mark Wilson called it early, fair enough, but it's not worked out with him, that bit of damage. And of course, he's used his mediums, he's used his hards. He's going back onto 11 lap old mediums.
Ooh.
It's, I think, in all honesty, I never like to criticise the driver's choice. I think the softs would have been the best option there, and just hope for a safety car and then get back in your hards to the end. But
yep.
We all know what it's like. We've both been there, Liam. You're having a good race, you're on for a good result, you make one silly mistake and your head just goes. And I've done it on more than one occasion and more times than I'd like to admit.
I've done it a lot of times here in CRL. Obviously, my luck not being really good in this league. But I still love it to bits, so Craigo absolutely being gapped by MKP in Australia here tonight. So his mediums are dead. Craigo into the pits. He'll pit for the hards, I assume.
And it's a safety car because Maverick lost it on the exit of turn 10.
And Mark Wilson, saved by the bell, he can now pit for his hards again. But ultimately for MKP, he's behind the safety car. MKP's behind the safety car.
He's behind the safety car. Ideally for him, he get past the safety car. He pits onto the medium, serves that 5-second time penalty, fair enough. Spider Rob as well in a similar situation, and Tofart 9 laps on the hards, potential to go to the end, but he's going to get swallowed up when you look at Craigo, Mighty Baguette, Ferguson, AFL, even Murphy, Ghost Angel 1, all the likes of them on fresher tyres really are going to swallow him up, especially towards the end of this race. MKP though has almost inherited Mark Wilson's unluckiness there under that safety car. Mark Wilson not in the pits, I'm just noticing whether he's going to try and form up with the grid and go from there.
Wow, I mean, how unlucky could you be? Safety car just comes out, you're down the back straight, and yeah, safety car comes out just in front of you, so you can't overtake it. I mean, that's just like finding a needle in the haystack. It just doesn't come often.
It happened on Thursday night in Tier 1. If you've missed that race, I recommend going and watching it back. You had myself and Hedgehog jumping in as sort of last minute commentators, and a very similar thing happened, in fact, right at the death of the race. Of course, it was only a few lap sprint, so it didn't have as big impact. He had everybody effectively, apart from the leader, on fresh softs. He still managed to bring that car home in P2, however, somehow. So it was a sort of similar situation, but not one that you see often. Of all the places you can be when the safety car comes out, MKP somehow picked the worst. He is into the pits though.
Oh, could it be? Oh, he could get disqualified here. No, he gets lucky here tonight. You know, Scott, you have those moments where you just overtake the safety car to go into the pits. It may disqualify you. I've seen it happen sometimes. And although it's a bit unlucky, this is how this game works. However, MKP in the mediums comes out on P11. He could be. It could be worse, to be fair.
It could be worse. It couldn't be much worse. He's P12 out of 15 at the moment. We know he's got the pace, but you've got to pick your way through a field as well. And when you look at the guy who was battling, Craigo's in P2. I don't want to discount anybody, but I think at this stage, as we speak now, this is Craigo's race to lose, just by the pace he's shown. He's got one car ahead of him, Topher, who's on 10 lap old hards. So he should be able to dispatch him quick enough. Should and could and will are all very different words, and sometimes you just say the wrong words in a sentence there. Liam, have you ever done that before? Where
I've done it way too many times, mate. I'm sure you know, getting our words mixed up even. Especially here tonight.
I'm still questioning this. How are me and you two of the commentators, and arguably rated two of the... I mean, there's not many of us, but people seem to enjoy listening to us for some reason, when neither of us can put a cohesive sentence together half the time. It's a miracle we're still here.
So basically, it's all down to accents. You have two foreign guys, arguably.
That's the first time I've ever been called foreign. Thanks for that. Are you saying we are helping CRL hit the diversity quota?
Yeah, we're the minority here.
Well, I suppose we do check two boxes because we are both foreign and we are both idiots. So I suppose doing our bit for the diversity of CRL. Interesting race note to come. I suspect we're just about to hit lap 17 anyway. Racing should get underway then, hopefully at the end of this lap. Curly just forming up to the grid. Means we'll get racing on lap 18. 12 laps of green flag racing if we don't get another safety car. Looking to the skies, it's a little bit cloudy, Liam. I don't expect us to see any rain, but there is always the potential where rain is on its way right at the end and these safety cars is going to bring it forward. That would be quite the twist to what is already an extraordinary tale for this Australian Grand Prix.
And yeah, turn 5 could even prove more deadly than before, jumping into this Viper's pit even at that point.
It's one thing I love about watching these tier 4 races. You always, despite, people will say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 can never learn from a lower tier or whatever. You do. Because what I've learned tonight is that tier 5 is even deadlier than I thought. Ferguson picking up a 5-second penalty for hitting the rear of Mighty Baguette. I was sort of on board with Ferguson there, and he's got close a few times, but I don't think I've seen any contact. So maybe Codemasters being Codemasters, but that is a huge, huge, huge disaster for his chances at a good result tonight, particularly if a safety car comes out.
I'm going to interrupt you there. Not Codemasters, it's EA Sports. We have to be inclusive of everyone now. We have to refer everyone by their right names.
I suppose we're not even going to go with EA Sports. We're going to call them their full Sunday name, Electronic Arts. They have the art of making a mockery of everything they touch. Safety car is in this lap, however, Liam. We're about the way back underway. Green flag racing, 12 laps potentially of green flag racing. And if you want, I'll let you take us away for this restart as Topher and the Aston Martin prepares us for racing.
Yep. Topher taking it about 100 kilometers an hour, just on and off the brakes. But now Topher, I think is he still going to be on the brakes? He's quite slow at the moment. When will he call it green? Oh, it's very close. All these cars bunching up now. Looks like an IndyCar start, but now Topher takes it away. Craigo getting a really bad start compared to Mighty Baguette. Mighty Baguette alongside with Craigo. And Craigo keeping the position. Oh, what happened there? I've absolutely lost it there.
There was a hatch, went extremely deep into the corner. I'm not quite sure it was. I think it's Ghost Danger 1, judging by the positioning. But Mighty Baguette and Ferguson battling out. Ferguson on the outside for turn 4, loses out to Mighty Baguette. The two of them doing very well to not lose it on that outside curb. Ferguson taking a little bit of the inside curb in turn 5. That was nearly a disaster. Craigo has absolutely bolted out of the horse place and is away like a rocket ship. Murphy, after everything that's happened, he's in P6. It just shows you never give up, never surrender. I'm sure there's a meme like that of the old Asian guy. Well, Murphy has followed that mantra here tonight in Australia.
To quote Fernando Alonso in his Instagram post last night, sometimes a samurai has to stay calm in the face of danger. And definitely Cyril Murphy doing exactly that. Oh my god, my voice is going. Anyways, AFL now had a quiet race so far. Would be looking to make up some positions, and definitely Ferguson, the next victim in his list. But now there's a spinning Alpine, that's Maverick, and there's a spinning Haas as well. Iron Marshall for the second time this race. They both spun.
Yeah, Maverick getting a little bit loose there in the penultimate corner. Marshall just too early on the throttle, losing it in the final corner. Maverick battling out with Ghost Danger 1 there, both holding positions. Mark Wilson on his battle back through the field now, battling out with the other man that was up there, MKP. These two really, really pacey here tonight, and they're not giving an inch to each other. MKP on the mediums. Mark Wilson picked up a penalty. I'm not quite sure what that was for. It is a 3-second penalty. 3 pit seconds, so it is corner cutting creeping in, the first one of the night.
Yeah, a bit unlucky, but that's how it is sometimes. AFL picking up the third penalty here tonight. Another 3 seconds added to AFL's time, and Mark Wilson loses it by 10 and 11. So 10-11 finally claims its first victim, and Mark Wilson being the unlucky one there. So it's from bad to worse.
Unlucky in one hand, lucky on the other. That's the amount of cars I've seen. I caught the tail end of that crash here. The force and the energy going into that corner, the amount of cars I've seen that have just disintegrated on impact there. He's very lucky to still be racing. But again, I'm going to call it next season, if he's still in this tier, if he hasn't been bumped up, Mark Wilson's going to be a championship contender. And Wuban has had a spin, as has AFL. The two of them having spins in unrelated incidents there on the mid part of turn 2, or the entry to turn through, I suppose, the mid part of 1 and 2. I
can tell you what happened with Ferguson and AFL. Ferguson just having the outside line just ever so slightly cut back into AFL's line, and yeah, the rest is history for AFL. But Wuban, the second one in turn 1, just been, yeah, I couldn't tell you there.
I'm not entirely sure. Looked like a little bit of contact, but I'm not quite sure. With MKP then trying to round about the outside of Murphy on the long run down to the fast left-right chicane, picking up a purple second sector while he's at it. Gets a move up into P4, despite getting a little bit unfortunate with that safety car timing. He's really climbed up through this pack and is back into decent points, showing well he's a championship contender. I was touching it there. Mark Wilson has the pace. I reckon next season, if he's still in this tier, is going to be there and thereabouts. Just a few little bits of consistency and maybe just a little bit of a rub on the rabbit's foot to get that luck that he needs. He's definitely on for a good result some point this season. It's just been a common thing we've seen, just a little bit of unluckiness creeping in. The same with Murphy, and the same with a few drivers, in fact. Big shout out to Atomic though, mighty Atom. He's up P7, starting P17 on the grid. He's losing out to Spider up here into turn 1. A little bit of contact there between the two. Atom maybe turning in slightly early compared to the Ferrari on his inside, but the both of them seem to get away with it nicely.
Yeah, and Curly getting... Oh no, sorry, Wuban looking for a move down Curly, but Wuban unable to make
Sorry to jump
of it.
in. Sorry to jump in, Murphy.
Oh my god.
Murphy. Turn 5 claims another, and it's Murphy again. I was just praising him.
Same with Maverick. Sorry to interrupt. Maverick also claimed, and facing the other way in Australia, could have a disqualification here. Maverick, what are you doing?
And Mark Wilson's just lost it round turn 8 as well. It's all going Pete Tong, Liam.
Oh, it's definitely something's kicking.
And MKP's lost it on turn 13. Everybody I look at keeps spinning. Can I just shut my eyes? He's beached on the camp. He resets the track. That's a fair enough reset the track as per the rules. You know, before anybody claims anything, but he's lost out massively there. Who do we want to spin next to? Will I point the camera up? Because it's like that scene from, I think it's Cars 2 or Cars 3, where the guy points the camera and it sends an EMP and kills the car. That's what seems to be happening here tonight.
Maybe Mighty Began. I looked at Mighty Began. He's lost it. Oh dear.
Oh no.
And talk about race rigging, folks. We've definitely rigged the show here tonight. Craigo, you're up next. We're gonna spectate you. Oh my dear God. It just, some things never change here, and it's a bit of carnage and a bit of excitement here.
It's absolute chaos at times, but this is what makes racing interesting. Wuban going around the side. Adam had like a little bit of a knock, lost about a bunch of tinies, back up into 5th. Spider Rob's back up into 4th. Wuban now going for a move down the inside into the fast left, right. Atom losing out. He's got Curly and Murphy behind. It sort of seems you can make a mistake as long as you don't make 2 or 3 of them. You're all right tonight because everybody else is making one.
Yeah, and Murphy looking around the outside of. Oh my God, they made contact! These two have made contact. Wings lost, dignity's lost, talent lost even. And now Cyril Murphy will have to hit the pits, and so will Mighty Atom. And if you're Atom, definitely very, very angry at that. But oh my God, has it gone really bad for Murphy tonight here?
It certainly has. Started on pole, has had 2 spins and now a collision. He's going to find himself right down at the back of the pack. We're going to have 5 cards, I suspect, at the back, all on the softs, just showing how many late on incidents we've had in Murphy out of frustration, calling it a day. He,
he's mad. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know, shocking race.
He's had horrendous luck there. He came round the outside like the Tasmanian Devil. Tried to get the double overtake done, and the gap just not really there for him. Of course, it might be different in the replays, of course, answers on a postcard, but I think there could be a few incidents for the old stewards tomorrow night, judging by this. Time it will tell on that. The pack, though, Liam, fairly spread out now. We've got effectively 2 battles on track after all that excitement and madness. It's the battle for P9 between Ghost Angel 1 and AFL, and of course the battle for P6 between the 2 brothers, Curly and Marshall.
Yeah, and it'll be very interesting to see where these 2 brothers stack up. Oh, we've killed another brother.
Oh no, not another one.
Oh dear.
Should we just call it a day and come back when lap 29's finished?
I think that's what's best. I think that's what's best for this grid. Honest to God, I think we ruined so many races here tonight. It's ungodly tonight.
It's the karma I'm worried about when we start racing first tonight and they look at us and then we just fling it into a wall, because it's going to happen now. And oh no, it's happened again! Hey, I was watching AFL at Ghost Stage 1, they made the slightest bit of contact, Ghost Stage 1 losing it on the exit of turn 3 and into the wall. Please, when I look at you, stop crashing! No!
Blinded by our sexiness.
Just the pressure getting to some of the drivers here tonight. MKP, if you're listening, we are watching you. You are the only car effectively battling at the moment. Marshall, you were involved in this as well. Please don't spin.
And we have an AlphaTauri battling a Haas. What could go wrong, lads and ladies? In real life, a lot of things. In virtual, in CRL, not so much. But now, MKP sizing up at IR Marshall. It's all about exit in the last corner here. ERS burning, DRS wide open. IR Marshall now taken to the outside. MKP down the inside. And now we'll have the second detection zone to his advantage. MKP firmly up into 6, firmly not spinning, and yeah, it's all about damage recovery now. Damage limitation.
Just to maybe sort of put a cheery note and everything, I've just had a message from one of our tier 3 drivers, IRT Connect, better known as Zach. He's just sent me a lovely DM saying, whenever I'm racing in tier 3, please never commentate. So I think it's very apparent the sort of luck and well, suppose the lack of luck that we're bringing away from this race tonight.
Don't worry, Zach. You'll bin it on your own. You don't need us to watch you.
Poor Zach. Shout out to Zach, aka IRT Connects, driver that's been showing some promise and pace at times in Tier 3, but has, yeah, like a baby, fresh out of the womb, is just constantly looking for the next ball. And it's just been race after race for him. We love you, Zach. I do you.
It's been insults, it's been cheering, it's been spinning tonight. And it's been firmly a bit of tree tonight.
This race has had everything. It's been an entertaining race, I must say. There has been moments of absolute racecraft magicness, some excellent moves, but there's also been some horrendous spins, some unlucky incidents, and a few bit of misfortune definitely in the water tonight. Craiger though, 7.4 seconds clear. Marshall in P7. Let's get a little update on the penalties, I suppose. You've got, of course, Ferguson with a 5 second. The rest of those with penalties might be Spider Rob, Wuban, MKP, AFL, and Mark Wilson, all with 3 seconds. So, realistically, when you look at that, there isn't really much for Marshall to gain other than, to be fair, maybe 2 positions if he can close in on Wuban. But of course, a late safety car could sort of upheaval that. Safety car would need to come out either this lap or next lap. Of course, we need 2 green flag laps of Raisin Sack just in the comments saying he's deeply, fully hurt now. And turn 5's claimed another one.
Nope, it's claimed again. Not another one, just again.
Just again.
Mark Wilson having a stonker of a race. Not the best of races. Definitely one to forget. Especially getting those really nice moves early on. Just not the race to be, unfortunately.
Just one of them nights, as I compose, when you've got the pace, you've got the potential, and it just goes against you. Just one of those things, I suppose. Corley into the pits then. He's going to lose out 1 position. Fresh of set softs going on to the Williams, of course. I think this is more a case that he knows that he's not really going to catch anybody in front. You'd like to think with fresh softs versus 8-lap-old softs, he's got potential to go further. Mark Wilson going for a pit stop as well. Hopefully not retiring in the pits. Yes, 5-second penalty for speeding. Hopefully this is a fresh set of softs. Going to challenge for that fastest lap. Yep, looks to be. So a big shout out to the fair of them. I always love seeing that kind of thing at the end of the race when you've not really got much else to lose. Still on board then with Marshall. He's hunting down MKP and Wuban, of course, would get both of them on penalties. He's also got 60% ERS to use in a lap, 2 laps effectively. So, big burst of pace incoming, maybe?
Maybe. But it's all about closing in first. 6/10 down, you're not going to make a dive bomb work there. However, MKP and Ruban seem to be battling it out for what is going to be effectively 6th place. And now MKP looking around the outside of Wuban on the hards, MKP on the mediums, and now MKP looking for any gap to slot himself by, but Wuban making his car as wide as possible, almost like Fernando Alonso in Britain in 2021, sorry. And
just glad we didn't see him make his car like Alonso last night. No bunny hops or wheelies here this evening, although we've had pretty much everything apart from it. All of these 3 cars here separated by just over half a second. Marshall, you can see the 2 red lights blinking. He's went a little deep into the first part of the chicane. That's going to cost him time. MKP getting the run up then on Wuban. DRS assist using a little bit of the ERS, but he's not got much left. Goes for the move down the inside. Wuban giving him just enough space. It might even get a spun in front, meaning this battle is now for effective P5. Marshall on for a stonking finish here potentially. Might even get just fallen at the last, but the 3 of them stay in their positions. No overtakes relative as of yet, but it's, of course, the run down to turn 1 still to come.
Yep, and Iron Marshall, he's looking a bit greedy here. And Iron Marshall going down the inside of Wuban makes the move work. And now it's just MKP just ahead. But will he close it? Will he stick with MKP? And will he get 4th place in the end? Hard to tell at the moment. Ghost Angel 1 spinning by the 3rd sector. So, yeah, not the best of races so far. But Iron Marshall, he's losing time to MKP, but I don't think it will be enough for MKP. And it's all about the ERS now.
It's one of those. Marshall has probably got the ERS to try and climb in and sort of catch up on the back of the AlphaTauri, but when he's got the penalties, he doesn't necessarily need to do that. But it's always a little bit of reassurance if he can do it on track. This will probably be his last chance to make the move down into the DRS. I think he's going to be slightly too far back, and I'm going to cut away because there is the man of the hour to attend to. It is Craigo in the Alpine that takes the Australian Grand Prix win. Ferguson rounds the final corner in the Alfa Romeo. He is going to take a well-deserved P2 here tonight. Closes the gap ever so slightly on MKP, of course. 5-second penalty unserved added to his time. Spider Rob crosses line P3. MKP then is P4 but loses out to Marshall. Marshall up onto the podium. Just snipes Spider Rob by a quarter of a second. I didn't even see that coming. That was must have been an added penalty for Spider Rob there. Wuban P6 might even get that spin in the latter stages. Drops him down to P7. AFL in P8. Topher rounded the final corner with Curly side by side down to the line here. 700s separate the two of them. Topher beating out Curly. What a finish.
The action never ends in Australia. But now we have the 2 last cars yet to finish the race. The Maverick crossing the line, coming in P11 and P12. Ever loving, ever favourite for Scott here. Ghost Angel 1 finishing the race down in P12.
Picks up a solitary point for the Haas boys. And that is us. Round 11 done and dusted, Liam.
Wow, what a race.
Definitely one of those that had a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything apart from misfortune. It had a little bit of a lot of that, I would say. But certainly an entertaining one. Should we... how are you feeling tonight? You down for a little top 3 interview?
Why not? I mean, I think these guys deserve it. Especially after this pretty much endurance race of who can survive the longest.
Definitely. We'll send out then. Craigo 82 takes the win ahead of Ferguson. IR Marshall, your last of the podium sitters. We'll see if we can get a chat from one of, or hopefully all of them three. Spider Rob, MKP, Wuban, Mighty Baguette, AFL, Topher, Curly, Maverick and Ghost Angel 1 complete the points. Finishers with Mighty, Atom and Mark Wilson, the other 2 cars making it to the end of the Grand Prix. Murphy, Hedgehog and Jay Wills all suffering the big fat DNF. I'll just quickly fire out a little invite to the party to these 3 and hopefully we'll get a couple of them joining within the next few minutes or so for a quick little chat. I would like to think that Marshall will join us. It was of course Marshall, Craigo and Ferguson, who I don't think I have as a friend, but we'll get him in fairly sharp.
The real losers, or the real losers here is the ones who don't have the griddy equipped for the celebration and for the podium celebration. The only reason to watch the podium celebration now is because of the griddy, which is unfortunately glitched in this game due to Codemasters not really doing their part. Or Electronic Arts, as God likes to say.
Give them the full Sunday name. Yeah, it's got a sort of glitch where it sends you underneath the, not even the podium. It's like underneath the car park almost. Just sends you right into oblivion, and sadly can't see that wonderful celebration. I've added all 3 of our podium sitters in. We'll see if any of them join. But while we're on that, We've had one reworked track this week, Liam. We go to another one of those. It's, of course, the United Arab Emirates Grand Prix at the Yas Marina circuit. No, it's not the Yas Marina circuit. That's Singapore. It's in Abu Dhabi.
No, Yas Marina circuit is the...
Is that Abu Dhabi? I always thought that was Singapore for some reason.
It's San Marino. No.
No, that's Imola.
Oh my god! Marina Bay.
Marina Bay. There we go. So anyway, we're there, of course. Another reworked circuit. Definitely one that I think could throw up some interest in racing. You've sort of lost two of the maybe trickier parts of the track in the form of two chicanes and replaced them with essentially quite a long hairpin and a long banked left-hander. Setups are going to be key there, of course. You need that mix of downforce and top speed. Tyre pressures need to be spot on because overheating is such an issue. And the pit lane, I think it's one of the most unique pit lanes in the whole of the grid, of course, that underground exit. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. But we do have one of our podium sitters here tonight. A second ever race in CRL. It was P5 last week. It's provisional, and to be fair, I say that just out of sort of coverage. But it's provisional P3 for Mr. I.R. Marshall. Solid result on your second race. You've got to be happy with that, mate.
Second, well, I am, because I spun twice all by myself, and I think before the last the final safety car, I think I was like 14th or something like that. So just good head down, recovery drive, get back up to third.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen you and your brother. In fact, I didn't even know that you and Curly were brothers. The second, alongside the head admins of the booth boys in CRL. Both seen you having a little spin at turn 2. I forgot about that, but yeah, excellent recovery drive in what was ultimately a very chaotic race, it must be said.
Yeah, it was a little chaotic, but when people learn to, with more experience, learn to when to overtake and when to pull out, and I'm sure it'll get better throughout the season, to be honest. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. You've shown you've got the mix to be up there, so I'm looking forward to see what you've got to come in the final 4 rounds. Liam, you got anything to ask to our P3 Haas driver?
No, you've got all my questions covered.
Just
well done. And second race, getting your podium here. Pretty impressive.
Thanks. Yeah, 2 podiums. So yeah, P1, P3. I'll take that in my first 2 weeks.
Well, we move to Abu Dhabi next week. How are you feeling for that then? Must be riding a little bit of confidence after this.
Loads of confidence. Actually, on the last game, Abu Dhabi, I really didn't get on with the track. But actually, I quite enjoy the track this season. So yeah, keep an eye. Hopefully, I'll be fighting for a podium again. That's the plan. Just try and stay clear of penalties, because I think that will definitely help and catapult me a couple of positions as well. Probably, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's actually a really nice track now, isn't it? With the changes they've done, makes it a lot faster, a little less technical, which I like. It suits me quite well, actually.
Got to agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I'm much preferring personally of the new setup and the new layout. So thank you very much for joining us. I think you're the only one joining us tonight, but congratulations on your P3. Wish you all the best for next week, and hope we have a great week until then. Liam, then, final few words from you, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you back in alongside me, doing the good old comms and our usual unique banter.
And hopefully we can get your OBS working next week if you're here next week. But I will always be here. Scott, hopefully you're here next week. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and catch us here next time at Mondays at 8 PM BST, which might turn into GMT next week. We'll see you then.
Oh yeah, of course the time will change and CRL moves with the times, very modern. But yeah, can't have said it much better myself. Hopefully we'll have the old OBS back for next week. Hopefully we'll have both myself and Liam here again for round 12 in Abu Dhabi at the United Arab Emirates. Of course, one of the relatively newer speaking tracks, and another reshaped track this season. As Liam said, make sure to hit us with a little like, subscribe if you enjoyed it. We always loved to see people in the comments. We've had plenty of them tonight. The usuals of McConey, of Iconex, of Spider Rob, Curly, of course, our podium sitter even jumping it in at times there, along with KXI, dragging it on speed, and Daniel Brewer's Cold Paradox as well. Great to have you all down there throughout the race. Sorry, I'm maybe not the best at engaging in the chat, but like Liam said, make sure to catch us back next week, 8:15 at BST, maybe GMT within the next few weeks. Tier 3 of course kicks off before us at 7:30, but if Monday's just that little bit too far to wait, join us back on Thursday 7:30. You can see myself in the car in Tier 2, and if you wait till 8:30 you can see the glorious Irishman of Liam Carragh taken to the streets of Melbourne in Tier 1. I've been CRL Freefall. I wish you all the very best of the rest of your Monday evening and a happy new week. It's not quite New Year, but it's a new week. Good evening, good night, goodbye.